Hello and welcome back to the Argyle HR Leadership Forum. My name is Vicki Lynn Brunskill with Argyle. It's great to have everyone joining us today. A couple of notes before I introduce our esteemed speaker for this session. First, a quick reminder to stop by our sponsors' virtual booths at any time during today's event and for the following week. Our partners are committed to providing you with valuable content and a great overall experience today. And at any time during the event, you can visit their virtual booths from the main agenda page, and those do include complimentary materials, information, and meet and greet opportunities. Throughout today's event, you also have the opportunity to win a prize, so please check out the prizes and raffle rules tab of the interface to see how you can earn points. And now, without further delay, I'd like to introduce our speaker, Pooja Chugh, Global Director of Talent Acquisition and Executive Recruiting at GP. We are so excited to have Pooja with us for a thought leadership presentation titled Beyond Borders, Exploring Innovative Strategies for Global Talent Acquisition and Retention. Welcome, Pooja. We're so happy to have you just today for this timely and practical topic. Over to you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Pooja Chugh, and I lead talent acquisition function at GP. In today's session, I'd love to talk about some of the innovative strategies that I have seen in the talent acquisition and talent management space and kind of show you how that is really shaping today's talent landscape. So let's get started. Before I dive in, a quick introduction about myself. Throughout my career, I have had the opportunity to work with organizations of different sizes at different stages of their growth across Fortune 500 organizations, across multiple continents. And I think that has made me realize power of the global everywhere workforce and how companies are really optimizing that to really create not just at how do they attract employees, but also how do they continue to create innovative strategies to continue to retain their employees. And I'd love to share some of those practices with you in today's session. So let me start by asking you to really think about how would you rate your current organization talent acquisition strategy? Let's say on a scale of being excellent to needs improvement. Excellent could be where you think that you have a very robust hiring practices, which are very compliant with different countries' labor laws and regulations. Or this might be an average where you might think that, yes, you do have good hiring practices, but I think you might still need some help in strengthening it a little bit more. So as you are thinking through it, it is also important to understand how different companies are evolving their talent acquisition and retention strategies to create inclusive and engaging work environments to really attract, retain, and develop their top talent in a competitive talent landscape. Now let's talk about some of the latest trends that have emerged in the talent acquisition and retention space. The trend that I have been seeing is the skill-based hiring. Gone are the times when companies used to really look at the qualifications. I don't know if you remember that, but many years ago, hiring managers will look at the resume and will say that, does this person have this certification? Does this person have these many years of experience? Does this person come from a specific industry? And that's where their early decisions used to be based off. But that necessarily is not true now because companies are seeing that it's the skills that matter the most for the performance on the job. And potential also matters a lot because what the employees are doing today, yes, that's important. But tomorrow, if the market dynamics changes, and which we all know change very rapidly, people should be able to perform their role today, which might be relevant in next 2 years. So I think the current performance as well as potential is very important for companies to look at as they are looking to hire these people. The other thing that I love to talk about in detail is the upskilling. Upskilling has really become so important in today's landscape where the war for talent is just so rampant. The other is the diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. Now, DEI initiatives have become a central part of talent acquisition and management strategy. From diverse hiring practices to unconscious bias trainings to inclusive policies, companies are making sure that how can they make DEI strategy central core to their talent management strategies. The other trend that I'm seeing is data-driven decision making. And this is a trend that it's not new, frankly. I mean, we have been seeing data-based decision-making process from a long time. It's how we make sense of things, right? I mean, I always feel that it's like peeling the onion layers. Companies are using data to find out is this the person who might resign or predict their engagement or finding out opportunity areas. So data is how companies are making sense of things. And then lastly, remote work environments. We all saw it, we all lived through it. And let me tell you, it's going to stay here. Companies are providing remote work opportunities. And yes, at times it might feel disconnected because if you have somebody in Singapore and if you have people in Ireland and you're based in US, it might feel difficult to feel connected, but technologies is one thing through which companies are making sure that everybody feels inclusive, connected, while we are also able to reap the benefits of the remote working conditions. Let's talk about the concept of upskilling. We all have heard it, but the concept of upskilling has got so much of fire because the war for talent continues to be so much rampant in today's landscape. By upskilling, the companies are not only bridging the gaps, but they are creating an organic way to continue to engage and motivate their talent. Now, take the example of AI, right? We all know that AI is now in our work life every day. Now, we can be either conscious about it, we can be scared about it, or we can really imbibe AI in our day to day working to make sure that AI can help us reduce our non value add activities as we are focusing on high value add activities in our work. Remember the time when internet and computer was born? We had very similar situation there as well because people were hesitant to really imbibe the new ways of working. And that's where the broad adoption really helped the employee base. So the companies which are really imbibing AI in their value chain, it's really going to be ahead of the curve. They're always going to be successful for tomorrow. Um, there are different ways that companies can use and can upskill their talent. One is by providing training and development programs where employees can continue to sharpen their skills in their current role, but also in terms of their career progression, what is the next role? What is the next chapter that they would want to get onto? And that's where, by having the right training processes, can help them to be there. And the other is by partnering with the educational institutes, right? I mean, you have your sales training program, you have your customer success programs, you want to give the, you have so much going on technology side, right? I mean, it's always good to continue to upskill your talent because that really helps them from job enrichment and job rotation perspective. The other thing we can do is, let your employees attend conferences, seminars. They can meet with the like-minded people, and I think that really helps them in enriching their knowledge in a specific subject. Online learning programs. I mean, the knowledge is the amount of knowledge that is available there is so amazing. Take the example of LinkedIn learning programs. So I think these are a couple of ways where you should think about continue to upskill your current talent because, as I said, it just does not create a motivation for the employees, but it is a win-win situation for employees and employers. Now let's talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. In my sense, it's just not buzzwords now. These have become the crucial parts of talent strategy. DEI strategy is interlinked with the talent management strategy. And companies are doing multiple ways to kind of ensure it's just not about hiring the diverse talent, but it is also how you are creating an inclusive work environment where everybody feels included. There is enough and more information out there that organizations which are diverse tend to outperform by so many points as compared to the companies which tend to be more similar looking. There are different ways companies are doing to create a diverse organization, and it all starts with thinking through the diverse hiring practices. Now, companies are using different practices to create a more inclusive workforce. In my sense, it all starts by identifying your goals. As an organization, is gender diversity more important to you? Is it ethnic diversity? Is it geographical diversity? What does the numbers look like for you, right? Let's say if you have a technology function, it is very organic that the women diversity would be less in that function as compared to, let's say a male population. Or you might be looking to increase ethnic diversity in your organization. That's where organizations have to understand where are the gaps and plug those gaps back into the programs that you will build to fill those gaps. There are multiple things you can do. One, for example, you can think about amplifying your sourcing strategies to focus on underrepresented population. Or you can think about creating interview panel, which is as diverse as the underrepresented population that you want to bring in. Or you can think about doing blind resume screening. I think these are a couple of ways where you can continue to broaden and diversify your sourcing funnel. The other is where companies are looking to train and educate their internal employees. It is very important. I mean, consider if you have a global team where you have somebody based in US and then you have somebody in Singapore, and that's where the norms and the cultures that might be prevalent in one country, it might be interpreted in a very different way in a different country. So it's very important for companies to sensitize their employees to kind of say that the cultures and the norms and how they can really imbibe that so that there is more inclusivity in the employee workforce. The next important thing companies can look at is their leadership development. I mean, you can continue to focus on your diversity hiring practices. You can continue to focus on sensitizing your internal employees. But if your leaders are not sensitized, if they are not inclusive, you're not creating or you're not broadening up your diversity efforts. It is very important. And these are the small things. Now, for example, you might have a global team and you're creating global calls, right? So you have people in US, Ireland, Singapore, Hong Kong, India. And then by default, every time if you're doing the calls, which is creating or putting the APAC group to disadvantage, then it's not an inclusive practice, right? Take another example where you have a group. Some of the team members of that group are more vocal, while some of the team members, they tend to be shy and they are not as vocal to kind of really share their point of view. So as a manager, what you could do in both the situations, right? So in the first situation where I was talking about the global teams, either you can have an asynchronous kind of a learning where you could record that call and then you can share that with the other team members. So not necessarily they have to be there in the call. The other way you can do is by rotating the time. I mean, it's not that every time the APAC zone has to be on disadvantage. You can always move things around. Or worst case scenario, if you have to do it in that manner, you don't have to enforce that somebody has to be on Zoom video on. I mean, all of us know the fatigue is just too much for the Zoom calls. In the second example, where I was talking about some of the team members might be shy to share their opinions, I think in that case, managers can circulate the agenda well in advance. In which case, people whoever, even if they're shy or even if they need time to prepare, they can be well prepared and they'll feel more confident coming into the calls with the team. So these are just, a couple of ways which can really help the teams to be more inclusive and more equitable. Now let's talk about how data analytics, AI is really shaping the HR practices. The data-driven era in HR is here, with analytics and artificial intelligence really reshaping how organizations are managing their talent. The multiple ways I've seen that how AI and data analytics is really intermingling into the HR's work. Take the example of recruiting and talent acquisition. AI and data analytics are continuing to revolutionize recruiting by identifying top candidates, predicting their performance, looking at the success profiles, and that's where the recruiters can continue to optimize their hiring decisions and track recruiting matrices. The other way I'm seeing is the extensive usage in the candidate screening and assessment process. AI tools have continued to automate candidate screening by parsing resumes, assessing skills, matching candidates with the job profile using the natural language processing or looking at the machine learning algorithms. And this is saving huge time and bringing a lot of efficiency for the recruiters. The other area that I've seen data analytics being used so much is the field of employee engagement and retention. AI-powered sentiment tools can really predict how your employees are getting engaged, where are the gaps, where are the opportunity areas. And this way, companies can really create targeted campaigns to improve engagement and reduce turnover. And finally, I'm seeing a lot of inclusion of data analytics in the strategic HR decision-making process. HR professionals are able to gain insights now to optimize their processes, drive business outcomes by analyzing the workforce demographics, turnover rates, employee performance matrices. So there are multiple ways, but data analytics, the power of data is so much here. And it's not just about looking at the numbers, it's all about getting the story behind those numbers, which is so important. Now let's review the trends in HR practices as it pertains to the space of talent management. Now, excelling in talent management requires a strategic approach and a focus on long-term success. Some of the key strategies that companies are employing: flexible work policies, flexible work arrangements benefit not just the employees, but also the employers, because it creates a win-win situation. Yes, all of us are happy if we are remote, but it also helps to increase our productivity, increase our engagement. And I think that's where it creates that win-win proposition for the employees and the employers. The other focus area for the companies to look at nowadays is the employee wellness programs. We live in an environment where we are remote. That creates a win-win situation for us. But we also are considerate of the fact that it does create stress for us, right? I mean, the boundaries between the work-life balance, it's really got dimmed. And I think that's where companies have started realizing that how wellness should be high in the priority chart. And I think that's where I have seen companies creating wellness programs around stress management, work-life balance, creating a supportive work environment. Like, for example, in our organization, we have an employee assistance program. We have apps like Calm that really helps employees to bring the wellness to their daily life. The other area that I'm looking at is the talent analytics and predictive modeling. There is the extensive use of talent analytics and predictive modeling to forecast future needs, identifying high potential employees, and predicting workforce trends and challenges. So, by prioritizing innovation and exploring new talent management practices, companies can find, hire new talent, reach their organization goals, and thrive in a global workplace. I'll end this presentation with a quick thought and a realization that I have had after COVID is that as you speak to more and more business leaders, globalization is not an option anymore. Business leaders have started realizing the value of the global workforce and how much is the whole value driven solution behind it. But one should also realize the fact that going global is not as easy as it sounds. You have different countries, legal laws, regulations, taxation codes, and it's not a static picture. It keeps changing. So compliance is a big issue in that case. But when you partner with an organization like us, GP really makes that transition, makes that expansion so much easier for you. So if you are really interested and the world of everywhere workforce does excite you, we will be more than excited to kind of talk to you. Please come and visit one of our booths. On virtual booth, one of our BDR team members would be there. So don't hesitate to reach out to us and connect with our teams. So thank you so much. That was today. And if you have any questions, this is my contact. I will love to answer back. So thank you so much and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Pooja, for such an excellent presentation. And I want to thank everyone else for joining us today for this session. This session, along with all of today's content, will be available on demand following the event. And our next session will begin after the break at 1:25 p.m. Eastern Time. And that will be a keynote session titled The Business Case for AI in HR. Please click on the join button that will appear on your screen to be redirected to that session. And we look forward to seeing you there.